Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Stacking 3%er. This video is going to be uploaded on Tuesday, November 13th, 2018, but it is Monday night at the moment. Quick video, just wanted to share this with you guys, a very interesting hypothetical idea of how much gold and silver would be needed for a financial crisis. This is out of goldsilver.com. With Jeff Clark here, Senior Precious Metals Analyst at Gold Silver. Going to read through this, going to show you guys the charts, and then we will discuss a little bit at the end. So most of you reading this or listening to this, of course, are already convinced of the importance, the need to own gold and silver. But as you continue to accumulate, a question naturally arises, of course, how much do you need? Imagine the sick feeling in your gut if we get to the next financial crisis and you suddenly realize you didn't buy enough bullion to get through it. For this reason alone, it's worth thinking about how many ounces you might need. And of course, people all over YouTube will tell you how much they think an individual needs. Generally speaking, any individual, but this is going to throw it into a little bit different of a perspective where it's not about how much any particular individual needs or should have, but what do you need? So more and more investors are obviously recognizing this. We receive questions about it. The wording varies, but the basic question is the same. How much physical gold or silver or both should I own to be in good shape should an economic crisis hit? So traditional advice is meaningless in a crisis. The traditional financial advice, of course, is that gold should compromise between 5 and 10% of assets, or 10 to 20% if you're not including home equity. But the guys here at Gold Silver are convinced that amount won't cut it in the turmoil that many believe is ahead, and I kind of agree with this as well. Think about it, 5 to 10% truly is not that much. What passes for quote-unquote normal advice could be financially devastating in an abnormal time. Furthermore, the lower your overall net worth, the less meaningful these percentages are, and in a time of crisis, you will need absolutes, not percentages. If you've struggled to determine if you have enough gold and silver physically, of course, it says we've created a practical guide for you. This measuring stick is a more effective way to gauge if your allocation will be sufficient. So what you're doing with your precious metals, which brings up a rather obvious question. When you sell your stash, what will you do with the proceeds? There will be plenty of options that run the gamut of practicality, whether that means buying undervalued investments, such as real estate, for example, buying a family fortune, buying a vacation home, or supplementing your income during the crisis. The point is you will buy something with those proceeds. Ultimately, in a regular financial crisis, not a regular financial crisis, but what we have the idea in our heads of when it comes to a financial crisis, meaning, insane hyperinflation, a meltdown in the stock market, valueless paper currency, basically. That's kind of what we're talking about. And I say on my channel a lot, how are we going to know when and if the time is right to be selling precious metals? And you talk about the key difference between a financial crisis and a currency reset. Currency reset is more of doing away with fiat currency, and in my mind, hopefully going to a tangible backing system, such as a gold standard or a metals standard for that matter, something tangible to give that fiat or insert whatever you want, digital card, whatever, to give that value. Whereas a financial crisis, of course, is just the devaluing of your native currency, in many of our cases here, the dollar. So that's the starting point of knowing if you're going to have enough ounces. Will your stash be sufficient to support your standard of living during a major financial crisis? There's no single right answer to this question, of course. In other words, you shouldn't just ask how much do you need or how much does the stacking 3%er own, and base your buying habits on that. Each person's circumstances are different, of course. So what to expect during the crisis? Of course, a major financial disorder will include inflation. It'll be much, much more than that. The global economy is likely to undergo a series of crises, only one of which will be inflationary. I mentioned a few earlier. They won't resolve quickly. As a result, we need to be prepared to weather all storms that hit our economy, markets, and monetary system, even if they would last for several years. We'll be living through the entire transition period, most likely, and that means we may need to supplement or fully support our standard of living during that time, because if we can't, let's face it, a lot of not so nice things are going to happen. So with this reality in mind, they've created the following tables. He says, I calculated how much silver and gold you would need based on two factors. Number one, your monthly expenses, and number two, how long the crisis period would last. The chart assumes that the gold prices keep up with inflation, though history shows it is likely to far surpass CPI readings. If so, it's possible we'd need less than what is shown. It also assumes you pay taxes from another source. And we'll touch on that here in a minute as you take a look at the charts. And bear in mind that little note as far as what to expect here, because these numbers are based on, this is based on $1,300 gold price, but we know if severe hyperinflation or a severe meltdown recession would happen in the United States economy again, and we talk about it often, sky's the limit on the US dollar value price for gold and silver. So these numbers are based on very similar prices to what we have today. So you can take a look here. So let's just say, for example, your monthly expenses are $2,000 in ounces of gold. That will be 1.54 ounces of gold. A 6-month duration of the crisis, you would need 9.2 ounces of gold to cover all your expenses. And then on the much more extreme, as you can see, at a $2,000 monthly expense, a 5-year economic crisis, you would need 92.3 ounces of gold, hypothetically. So to determine how much gold you should buy, of course, find the monthly expense amount that will support or replace your current standard of living, and then match it to the duration. If you want to supplement your expenses by $500 a month and the crisis lasts 3 years, you would need about 14 ounces of gold to get through it. If you would want to cover $3,000 in monthly expenses, you'd need 45 ounces to meet a crisis period of 2 years, and 90 ounces if it lasts 4 years, and so on and so forth. You get the idea here. And again, that is with the prices of gold in this case not skyrocketing like one would expect to happen in a financial crisis, which leads me back to the point that I was trying to make earlier, that even if gold would go up to $5,000 an ounce, $10,000 an ounce, $50,000 an ounce, does it really matter? Are you going to feel compelled to sell it if a gallon of milk costs $500? Just an example. And of course, the silver chart, very, very similar. Somebody that has $2,000 a month in expenses, a 5-year crisis period, based on a silver dollar price of $20 an ounce, you would need 6,000 ounces to manage to get yourself through a 5-year crisis, which, again, all hypotheticals. So these amounts, of course, may look high, but to keep in mind, if you don't save in gold and silver now, you'll be forced to spend a whole lot more in currency later. These tables show how practical gold and silver can be. They really can be used to protect our standard of living and even improve if the price of precious metals rises during times of economic crisis like they have in the past. And of course, that's kind of what everybody should expect to happen, in my opinion. If something like this were to happen. So of course, so how much do you guys need? It's different for everybody, but it is good to just kind of bear in mind, you have to take into consideration your living situation, your standard of living, your income, your net worth, how much per month, per 6 month, per year you can spend on gold and silver. And when I think of it, I don't think of like buy precious metals like, oh, I'm spending money, or like how much can you afford this month? To me, it's a transfer of wealth. It is a transfer of my wealth into a safety net, into a safer haven, into an insurance policy, so to speak. Just an interesting little chart here, little discussion, some food for thought. Let me know what your guys' take is on the whole thing. Again, the biggest thing that we are me personally, trying to battle with is obviously right now is the time to buy, not the time to sell. Would never fricking sell right now in 100 years at this rate, but it's a great time to continue buying, continue accumulating, slow but sure, in my opinion. If we were to all wake up tomorrow and silver shot up to $50 an ounce again, like it did in 2011, who's buying? Who's selling? That is the true question. When do you trade your hard worked for gold and silver, sound money, real money? When do you trade it back in for fiat because you have to buy things and pay for bills? That's the system, I guess. That's the question that I have the most. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. Thank you very much. This will be uploaded Tuesday, probably mid-morning, early afternoon. Hope you guys have a great day. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you guys for the ongoing support. Be sure to leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. Leave a comment, start a conversation. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel and you like the content on my channel. Videos like this every single week, you guys. Thank you as always, and keep on stacking.